Hey, what's up people, David here with After Video Effects, and welcome back to another video tutorial. And today we're going to be creating a submarine scene that was used in the Aquaman movie. So yeah, let's take a look at what we're going to be creating. Alright, as you can see, we got a lot of detail going on here, so I'm just going to go straight into it. So we're going to make a new comp, and we'll make it 1280 by 720. I'll call this Submarine. And first off, we'll make a background. So I'm just going to put this wide, let's BG, hit OK. And we're just going to generate the ramp. As you can see, it generates ramp now. So for the ramp, we're just going to make this color. Let's have a look here. 44, 101 to 103. And this one, we're going to make 226, 45. So that's our base background. So next thing is load up another solid. We'll make a red, call this E3D, and load up element 3D, and go to scene setup. Alright, so here we are in E3D. I've got a model pack here that I downloaded from Turbo Squid, so I'll give you the link for where you could download this model. It's for free. So I'm just gonna scale this down to maybe 70% and just drag it on top here. And for the material, I used like some sort of army based material. So yeah, clean military. So we'll drop that onto that. And that is looking very nice. Now we can just adjust the background here. So let's see here. We've got an environment. We can use the backlight 2K. And we want to give it like a bluish color because it's going to be underground. So not underground, underwater, sorry. So just try it out here and let's see here. That one looks alright. And hit OK. And we're just gonna make a new camera, and we'll make it 80mm. Hit OK. I'm just gonna drop this to quarter res and turn off depth of field here. And I'm just gonna play with this rotation until I'm happy with it. So I'll be back. So yeah, I just scaled, no, not scaled, I just zoomed in, rotated the camera until I was happy with it. Okay, so next thing we have to do is make our light rays. So make a new solid, make it black, call this light rays. Just gonna grab the solid composite effect. I'll just put this black. Next thing is fractal noise, and we're just going to draw a mask up here, so somewhere around there. Looks nice. Okay, and then we're gonna change some of the settings. So dynamic progressive, maybe we could turn up the brightness and contrast here. Shut this solid composite off for now. And then we're gonna add radial blur. I'll set it to fading zoom. And I'm just gonna crank this up. And now if we grab this point and just take it up, I'm holding shift to make it perpendicular, and we can see here become a problem. That's when our solid composite comes in, and we can just push it up even further, or maybe we can make it a negative value. Yeah, that looks better. And then we can turn down the opacity here, maybe set this to add, and yeah, that looks alright. Just adjust some of these settings here. Cool. Alright, so next thing we have to do is we can make our shadow for our submarine. So just hit Control D for our element 3D and call this shadow. And I'm just gonna get a tint effect, so color correction tint, set this to black, and then we're gonna get the same light ray effect, so Control C for the radial blur and then Control V, but this time we want to push it down, so we'll bring this back up to maybe about 176, and now we can see here the shadows underneath here, and then we can add like a little bit of fast blur, just maybe 3 pixels. Okay, so let's make an adjustment layer, so Control Alt Y, call this CC, and we're just gonna grab the tint effect, drop that down. We're gonna use Magic Bullet Looks, go to Edit. So what I used was Wormhole after browsing through everything. So yeah, we're gonna pick the Wormhole, and that's done, and that is looking pretty good. We might adjust the radial blur, maybe drop that down a bit so it looks a bit more shadowy. I don't even know if that's a word, but I'm just gonna go with it, and add that fast blur in. Maybe we could set the opacity down just a bit. Yeah, that looks alright. Maybe soften this up a bit. Okay, so let's get some lights in here. So I'm gonna make a new light. We'll make it spotlight, crank that up, hit OK, and we want to shine the light up above so that we can get some nice lighting direction. And Control D, maybe we can move this one. We might adjust the color of the lights, maybe like a little bit of blue, so that matches our sea a bit. Same goes for this one. That's looking good. Okay, so we gotta make a reflection texture for, so let's make a new comp, so Control N, hit OK, and we'll call this one reflection, and we'll make a new solid, get the cell pattern, drop it on there, we're gonna invert it, and we're gonna maybe change this to 37. Okay, and then we're gonna get the vector blur. I'm just gonna maybe give it a bit of blur here, and we're just gonna grab the extract effect, wherever that is. get the extract effect. So we're going to get the extract effect. So go to keying, extract. I'm just going to bring these points down here so we get an alpha channel going on. So if you can't see, that's what we're trying to achieve here. Get an alpha channel. Just start tweaking it until you're happy with it. Okay, so now we're going to evolution this. So hit Alt stopwatch, try this time, maybe 300, and then that'll just like move around over time. Okay, cool. So come back into our submarine, and then we're gonna grab the reflection, drop it in here, shut the eye off, and we're just gonna go into E3D and go to custom layers, texture, and set it to reflection. If we jump back into element, we can make a new plane. So get a new plane here, change this to group 2, and maybe 5x5. And for the texture, we want to use our reflection. So there we go. And then we can come down here to the where is it? The alpha threshold, and just crank that up a bit. And now what that does is creates an alpha in between the white areas. So crank all the way up, and we might scale this up even further. So just scale it up a bit. This looks good, and I hit OK. Now that we have an alpha, alpha plane, sorry, I'm just gonna go into group 2 and create a group null, and we'll call this position reflection. So as we move the null object, it moves the position. I'm just gonna drop this down to quarter-res. Okay, so if we come into element, there's actually a really cool feature called a shadow map and shadow. So if we enable shadow mapping and shadow mapping, what this should do is allow some reflections happen on top. See that? Whoa, magic. Okay, so we can just rotate this until it's on top of our submarine. So we want the light to shine on top so that we get nice reflection happening. So where is our light? So we got one shining that direction and one shining there. Okay, so we can just maybe move this one here and move the other maybe up here, and we can adjust the intensity for both of these. So maybe up there, so that we get nice reflection happening. Now we can just adjust some of the texture. So maybe we can move it up so that we don't get much detail. Just adjust some of this positioning, and we can also adjust like the alpha threshold. So if we come back into element, we can adjust the alpha. So just maybe push that down a bit. That looks alright. and just move it back to position. Now to soften the shadows a bit, we can just come into our light settings here, and we can turn on diffusion, and that will just soften the edges a bit, so we get nice soft shadows. Cool. Alright, so that's mostly the hardest part, or mainly the hardest part. Alright, so we can just start animating this now. So we're just going to grab a null object for our element, and we'll call this one shadow, no, not shadow, submarine. We'll call this, get into shadow, and we'll call this one shadow. Okay, and we might just change the color of some of these, so we'll make it yellow. What else is there? We can make this one aqua, and we'll make this one pink or purple. Okay, so we want the shadow and submarine to simultaneously go at the same pace. So we need to, I'm just gonna lock pick whip to that, and then for the submarine, hit P, hit the stopwatch, move forward in time, and then just gonna push this out. Cool. So we get nice position movement happening. Same goes for the reflection position. Just pick whip to the submarine, and the reflection should follow. See, now it's following. Nice. Here we come. And for the lighting, same goes for the pick whip to the submarine. So now the light is following, everything's following the submarine now. Okay, cool. Alright, so we can maybe start playing a little bit. We can add a little bit of a fast blow on this adjustment layer. Maybe 1 pixel. Okay, cool. So as the animation plays, we just want to change the camera angle. So we might just do this quickly. So just do this quickly. Feel free to adjust what camera angles you want. So I'll be back. Okay, so I've got some nice camera movement going on along here. So yeah. Alright, so the final thing we can do is our bubbles. Bubbles. So I'm just gonna make a new solid. So we'll make this maybe yellow just for the difference. I don't know, something like that. Alright, so we're gonna go to trap code particular. If we go into the effects builder, we can see we got some nice particles happening. So we're just going to change some of these settings. So I want to change the particle to more like a bubble. So if we come down here to maybe this one looks good, bubble number 2. Okay, and hit apply. Alright, so we got some nice bubbles here. So before we do the movement, we need it locked 3D position. So coming down here to element, we can go to utilities, select 2D position, hit about there, the back tail of the submarine, and then create a group null. And we'll call this position. We'll color code it just so that we know what it is. Then we're going to make a new light. So make a new light. We'll make it a point light and just drop that down to 0. So hit P on the position and hit P on the light. Control C, Control V. So now that light is in that position, so we don't need this position anymore. So we go into the particle settings. We can choose name, and we'll call this light 3 because that's what our named light is. And we're going to choose a light. So now our bubbles are emitting from that position, and we'll set the particles intensity to none. Okay, that's looking good. Now we can just change some of the settings. So we can go to directional, and we'll bump up this to maybe like 5,000. Okay, so we can just start playing with the settings here. So maybe play with the velocity. We can come down to particle, maybe just adjust like the size a bit, maybe make it 12, opacity, randomness to, I don't know, like pretty high value from what I did. We can come to the physics. We can adjust some of these settings. So spin frequency, turn that up. Spin amplitude, turn that up. And we can come to the turbulence field, and we can do effect position. Just maybe adjust that a bit. Okay, so what I did was I pick-whipped our light to our submarine null object so that it follows the position, and then the particles will just automatically adapt. And I changed some of the settings, some velocity from motion to a negative value, and we could change the color. So we can maybe add a tint effect, so color correction tint, and just grab like this bluish color, drop this down maybe about 40%, set it to screen, and then we got some nice bubble action happening. So we can adjust the velocity as well, so just drop this down to maybe about 10. So that's basically it for the submarine. If I was to switch this to half res, we could adjust some of the render settings for the element. So we can come down and turn on like ambient occlusion, enable that on, and we get some nice shading happening. Maybe turn up the intensity a bit here. You don't really see much of a difference, but it still works. You can add a fog and maybe like turn down the intensity here, so we get like a nice wash over our submarine, something like that. So that looks pretty nice with the wash. Yeah, it's just a matter of fiddling with this. Okay, so that is my submarine tutorial. So guys, I know it's a long tutorial, but there's a lot of technique that goes on here. So That's it people, so feel free to adjust some of the settings, and as always, my name is David. I hope you learned interesting techniques that you can use for your own creations. Please give a like if you like this video, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. But until next time, I will see you in the next video.